Breaking down Florida State's latest commitment on the board, a linebacker, 2026 linebacker is in the fold. It's three-star linebacker Karon Maycock from down in South Florida. Michael Langston here to break it down for us, senior recruiting analyst here at Warchant.com, Warchant TV. This is a big one, Michael, for the recruiting footprint to get a kid from Miami Central to say yes, especially with the new regime. Tell me about the circumstances of why young Karon Makok said yes to Florida State.
Yeah, and I wouldn't lock into that 3-star. I don't think this kid's going to be a 3-star long. I'm very high on this kid. I think when it all shakes down, he's going to be a composite 4-star type of player. Especially when you look at all the talented teams that are involved. Miami was a team that a lot of people thought was the favorite, but FSU got him in on that February 1st visit weekend. Knocked it out of the park. They were sensational. It was kind of one of those first victories of where the new staff and their blueprint of having some South Florida guys like Evan Cooper, Tim Harris Jr., even Tony White. He's from Key West, so he's in the South Florida area. So I think you're having a combination of all those things, and then Mike Norvell, this is one of the ones, Tom, that and there's very few of these, very few that he was personally invested and involved highly. Almost you could say he recruited Karan as far as one of the main guys. So that tells you how coveted they wanted him. They made that clear when on the junior day visit. And then with his game, I just love everything about him. For people to ask me, I did find out he is a for sure linebacker for FSU. That's the position he plays. Had to do some twisting because you see a lot of stuff that when you watch him, he does some stuff that safeties do. Very very well as far as coverage. Very good as far as how he stays on the hip, and then his closing speed as a tackler is extremely impressive when you watch it. So a lot of his game you think screams safety, but he's definitely a linebacker and a guy that moves really well laterally, a guy that gets off blocks really quick, and he's just like a heat-seeking missile when you watch him, as far as the way he hits. So this is a guy that I know FSU staff was extremely high on, and I really thought this was a kid that would probably end up at Miami because he's from there, and I didn't know if FSU would have enough time to get the surge they did, but it also shows their recruiting ability when they get a kid on campus, even if they're trailing, if everything clicks and everything snaps the way they want, they can certainly pull guys from just about all over. But I think this was a big mark for them, Tom, because this was their first big South Florida one where they had to really go in there and work it and get it done. And then, this kid committing, I don't think anybody expected him to commit that early, but I think it was overall where he told our still on three Steve Wilfong that, hey, he'd been thinking about it for a while. And I think that kind of jives with what I'd heard coming out of that visit for the junior day. So I think FSU just really knocked it out of the park. And I think they get a great playmaker, just a guy that can just do a lot of different jack of all trades, as far as when you watch him, whether you call him a linebacker, call him a safety, I call him a playmaker because that's what he does. Yep. I mean, that you watch these films and you watch these clips. I mean, he does a little bit of everything of what you want, and he gives them something they don't have a lot of. You don't have a lot of guys that cover people the way Karon covers these guys. So I think that's certainly, for me, the most attractive thing.
This is some impressive stuff here that we're watching, Michael. As you're describing all of these things and the facets of his game and the value of this particular player, I'm looking at the downhill nature of his game. I'm looking at the way he attacks. I'm looking the closing speed stuff. I'm not an analyst to the level, Michael, where we're, hey, I want to submit a grade for this kid for on three. I'm not pretending to be that guy, but what I am seeing here is a mindset that Tony White has been talking about in his first few months at Florida State about being aggressive, attacking, being physical. You can't talk your way to be physical. You have to just do it. And what I'm seeing here is some traits that I saw look at that. Good Christmas. Like I'm seeing the nose for physicality that we saw from Florida State in the last decade, 2013, 2015, two great defenses that had dudes that just wanted to kind of blow you up rather than just tackle you. So I love what I'm seeing here And I agree with you. This looks strong for a 3-star bit of tape. The second
Yeah.
part of it, the second part of it is the Miami Central part. You
Hmm.
don't have to guess if this kid can play. If they play at Central, you know that they can play. And so it's just these couple of things I'm seeing combined with the fact, Michael, that he trends and lists himself as 6'2", on 3 has him at 6'1" in its profile. Either way, he's trending towards really good size, 6'2", around 200 pounds. And then, Michael, this defense, you could call him a safety, and this is just me speaking personally. That's fine by me because in the 3-3-5 defense, there's a lot of redundancy in the
Yeah.
roles where you have kind of hybrid players that can be more towards the slot, outside linebackers. Like there's some crossover in terms of the position groups with Tony White's defense. As you can tell, I'll be honest, I have not watched any of this kid's highlight tape until we convened here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, I'm fired up. This is a good get it linebacker for Florida State.
Yeah, they've loved this kid for a while, and it was even before Tony White, got involved. But I think it kind of speaks to, we had a really good roundtable with Chad Simmons from On3, good friend of mine, does phenomenal work as a national analyst. And he said kind of what you just alluded to, like they're looking for a specific skill set. And he said the one thing Tony White and his defenses is they bring toughness. And you
Yep.
watch this kid play, he fits that toughness mindset. And then two, I think we're going to see a lot of this where you get a lot more speed at that linebacker position than I think technically or previously that we've seen before. You've seen some guys that you have different traits, but I think speed is a big quality that they covet. I know Tony White likes that. Certainly, Coach JP loves that. But I think overall they're looking for a specific skill set, and this guy had it in spades as far as what they were looking for, and it kind of showed the way they pursued him and the way they got him on campus for that final junior day visit. And I think overall, I think this is a guy that certainly fits every characteristic you look for in a linebacker. But like I said, he brings a trait that they don't have a lot of on that roster in an ability to cover people. That's like natural for him, where for a lot of linebackers, that's not a natural trait of covering guys out of the backfield. It's not something they do. Obviously, they do it a little bit in high school, but it's just not a natural trait you see out of every kid. And so, to see that with this kid, whether you list him as safety or linebacker, it's kind of a funny story because I'm listing all the hot boards on our board first, and then we're going to do a story later for the defense. And I didn't have him on the linebacker because I had him on the safety board.
Yeah.
So I had to switch him over. I just did it a few minutes ago before we jumped in because people were asking, "Where's he at?" He was on the safety board, so I was, had to justify just where he was. And then once I got confirmation, early today that yeah, it's going to be a linebacker for sure, then I moved him there. So, but whether you call him a linebacker or safety, to Tom's, kind of point, it doesn't matter. You see a playmaker. That's what I list him at. Like I list him as a playmaker because you watch it whether it's in run support or whether it's getting off blocks or rushing the passer or even
Yep.
getting interceptions and forcing turnovers. He does all those things. So it doesn't matter what position you list him in. I guess the best position probably would be athlete because that's exactly what he is.
You're so right, Michael, because there are certain guys that when they close, it's just the closing speed. I'm going to use great players as examples just because it's easier. I'm not likening him and positioning
Yeah.
him to, be the next great thing. Could be. But Telvin Smith when he closed, or Lamarcus Joyner when he closed, you could feel that through the film, through watching on television, being in the stands. You go, oh man, that is problematic. He has that same kind of look of how when he closes on the football, he does so with mean intent. And I don't care if he ends up being an All-American or if he's a rotational player for Florida State. We just need more of that. You
Mhm.
got to have more of that on campus, and it's good to see that Florida State's off to a good start in that regard.
Yeah, I agree, and it's really looking for playmakers. I think they got kind of too in love when they got other the previous staff at linebacker where hey this guy fit a certain measurable or this guy fit a certain trait that we like. Where Tony White toughness is a big part, and then two, is this kid a playmaker that we can see making plays at a place like Florida State? And I think I think it's a resounding yes when I watch his film. That's why I said to people when I started this, pop the film in, tell me if you see a 3-star film, because I sure don't. When I watch that, that's a 4-star film. That's a composite 4-star film when I watch it, and I think eventually he will get there. He does need to add some upper body strength because he is probably 6'1", 6'2". They list him like 200 pounds, so you do want to see a little bit, but I don't think it's a lot because you don't want to take away what his game is. You don't want to get too much where it affects his game because he's like I say, he's a heat-seeking missile when he comes in there. It's so fast that you can see a lot of these clips that the offense doesn't have time to react because the way he dissects it and processes it and executes it, it's almost like the reaction time has to be a half a second because he's so quick in deciphering information and just executing his play.
Once again, I'm not one of those guys who submits to On Three or the National. Yeah, I agree, Michael. We're in consensus here that's some good looking huddle film. If I've seen huddle film at all in my life, that stands out. So we're going to be recording a couple more videos for the channel in the coming days. I wanted you to be able to platform that, what we're coming up with here on Warchant TV from a recruiting standpoint, because even though right now this is tour of duty season and a bit of an on-campus break, Florida State's setting the stage for some big things.
Yeah, speaking of setting the stage, I mean, I have a couple of pieces coming up. One is kind of what we learned from this staff, as far as recruiting. But from all 3 of these junior days they had, they're going to have some more junior days in March, so we'll preview those down the line. But I kind of give a breakdown and feature of kind of what we learned of the strengths of what really stands out about this staff. We just posted 4 offensive targets and 4 defensive targets that FSU needs to get on campus or is expected to get on campus, but just needs to make a move for. So we have those stories coming up, and then we have a few more things, finishing off these hot boards, getting where everyone can see them and post them. So we'll have a lot of that stuff coming up. I know Matt's got a few features. Matt's going to be at Under Armour this weekend. A lot of talented prospects are going to be out there. I think Matt's going to have some features probably on a lot of those kids. A lot of them that I've already targeted and headlined and broke down some in the hot board. So you'll have that coming up. So there's a lot of stuff coming up. You have March 7th. I think that's the first junior day that you'll have it in March where we get it cranking again. So, and then spring practice. I think, Tom, this is probably the most anticipated I've been in the spring practice because of I want to see who shows up because there is such a high volume of kids from who I talk to that want to see what this product looks like in person. Particularly linebacker, you have a lot of talented guys like Isaiah Williams. Certainly, you already have Maycock in the fold. There's several other ones. Ty Griffin's another one, the 4-stars committed to USC. I think you'll see a lot of these kids, and I think people will be probably somewhat a little bit surprised about. I think how many prospects will be there because I think there's a very high degree of intrigue about what that offense is going to look like and what that defense under Tony White is going to look like. And I think a lot of recruits are anxious to see kind of how this product looks as far as in a practice setting. And I think it's actually probably good they aren't having a spring game because it's going to give them more of a thing where the kids are still going to get to see everything they need to see, as far as a scrimmage standpoint and, kind of scheme standpoint. I think that's where a lot of these kids, you have Landon Duckworth, a talented quarterback, that's probably going to come check and see their practices, probably even more of those quarterbacks. So I think overall, this is the most excited, intrigued I've been about a spring practice because of there's such a high volume of intrigue from the recruits I talk to and their families and how they want to see what this looks like.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to get some serious names on campus here over the next couple of months. Make sure to head over to the Premium Recruiting Board if you haven't already to check out all the latest on what's going on Florida State 2026 class. This breakdown fires me up. That's what I'm going to do right now. As soon as we sign off, I'm going to head over there because I like seeing physicality and dudes getting downhill. You could call him a safety. You could call him a linebacker. Michael's right. Call them playmakers. Bring us more playmakers. Hit the like button underneath this video if you want to see more playmakers and this makes you happy. Michael, looking forward to talking to you more over the next couple of days here on Warchant TV. Thanks for the time.
You got it, Tom.